So thank you everybody for tuning in. I'm really excited for tonight and just to introduce you to someone that I've had the privilege of working with each week. Tonight, my business coach, Martine Williams, is going to bring us the knowledge that she has used over the last 15 years as a high achieving entrepreneur, not only in this coaching business, but just as an author, someone that runs a podcast, a motivational speaker, and someone that has been in our shoes leading a direct sales organization of 28,000 women. So get ready for some business wisdom that's not only going to really inspire you, but only give you some actionable steps. So I'm going to pass it over to her and let her take it over.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for inviting me to be on the call tonight. This is just my passion is this industry and also just entrepreneurship. So thank you so much for inviting me to come on and spend a little time with everyone tonight. So as Ali said, I've been an entrepreneur for over 17 years. And while I started my entrepreneurial journey as in the direct sales industry, today I equip and empower mompreneurs to break through burnout by elevating their clarity, confidence, and courage. And I'm just so honored again. So thank you, Ali, for inviting me to be with your team tonight as we dive into mastering the 5 key elements for achieving success. I want to start out by just having you all show Ali some love in the chat. She did not ask me to do this, but whether you're on Facebook or in the group or in here on Zoom, give her some love in the chat for taking the time, like investing not only her time, but her resources into you tonight by inviting me to come on and share with you on these 5 key elements for achieving success. So thanks again, Ali. I'm so honored to be here. So drop me a 1 in the chat also. If this is your first time hearing me speak, I want to say a congratulations to all of you for taking the time to invest in you and your business by being here. You will not regret this decision. My first encouragement to you and a bonus tip is to not just be a consumer of this information, but commit now to implement, because inspiration without implementation is just inspiration. Inspiration with implementation is transformation. And I'm going to inspire the fire out of you. That is my superpower. But I want you to have the transformation that you are looking for and desiring in 2024. So we want to make sure we're putting the work behind the inspiration as well. So just another little bonus tip as we kind of go into this. I've been to lots and lots of personal development conferences, professional development conferences. And so here's how I get the best out of these type of events. So I just wanted to kind of share this as, again, a bonus tip. Number 1, know your goal for the event tonight. You know, maybe it's like the holiday hangover and you just need to connect with some of the women in the chat, or you need to connect with your sideline sisters, your upline. Like, what is the reason for being on this training? Maybe it is for sure you want to bring home some inspiration or some action steps to put into your business. What is your goal for the event, and seek it out. The second one is to organize your notes. So this is how I organize mine. You're going to hear a lot of ideas tonight, and there may be some that are like, wow, like I'm going to do that now. Put that on your notes that, wow, I'm going to implement this like tomorrow or this week. And then you're going to hear some other ideas, and maybe it's like, I love it, but for later. We cannot implement everything that you hear tonight. And that's sometimes what we try to do. And then we get overwhelmed and then we shut back down. And we usually implement because we're afraid we're going to forget it. So keep it on your list, put it on your list for later. And then as you start implementing some of the things we talk about tonight, you can always add these other things in. And then lastly, stay connected. So who are you going to review your notes with in the next 24 hours? That's not only going to help you to retain the information, but there may be something that someone else that's on the train tonight hears that you didn't hear, and y'all can kind of share your notes. So I just thought I would share a little bonus tip with you. Most of us don't have a knowledge problem. We have an implementation problem. So let's get into the meat of the training. So I want to share with you first a little bit about me, my story, how I got here, and then we're going to dive into mastering the key elements for success. So I've been married to my husband, Shaw, for 24 years. This October, we have 2 amazing boys. Lucas is a freshman in college. Can you believe that? He was literally 1 year old when I started my entrepreneurial journey. So all of my kids, my 2 boys, all they know is entrepreneurship. My son, Nash, is a sophomore in high school. And of course, our fur baby, Finn. Picture perfect, right? When you look at this. But let me just share that 17 years ago, I was just a small town girl living in a lonely world. I married my high school crush. I thought we would live happily ever after, but quickly I realized that my expectations were a little off on what I thought marriage was going to look like. And even though I was born and raised here, I'm in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, or I'm in Myrtle's Inlet now, but born and raised in Myrtle Beach. Most of my friends after college did not move back to the area. So I didn't have a lot of women to connect with. I didn't have a lot of things outside of being a mom to be connected to. And my husband has lots of hobbies. He likes to fish, he likes to hunt, he likes to golf. He's very independent. And I became that bitter, resentful wife of him and his hobbies, or him and his things that he had for himself. And so it was a Saturday, and again, it was one of those weekends where he was gone and my expectations were here and they just weren't being met. So what do? We call our friend, and I called a friend. I complained and complained and complained about him. He's gone again. And she listened because she's a great friend. And then she said, he's not wrong. You need to find something to do. And crickets is what she heard on the other end of that phone, because I'm sitting here thinking, what? Like, you're supposed to agree with me. Women, we're supposed to like stick together here. But I really believe that statement saved my marriage. I believe that one statement did change the course of my life forever. I don't know that I would have had my second son, Nash. I don't know that we would still be married today, 24 years later. I don't know that I would have ventured into entrepreneurship, that I would be here tonight training with you ladies, that I would know someone like Allie and just be able to be so connected with so many women. We all need someone in our life that can speak truth and love to us. And so I hope our time tonight, that as you hear us talk about the subject of, mastering these 5 key elements, that you hear my heart for you. Even if I step on your toes a little bit, it's all coming from a place of love and from experience and wanting the best for you. So I share my story with you for 3 reasons. One, because there is someone right now in your life or at your next event who is looking for an opportunity, like I was, to connect with other women or connect with other people, and possibly save her marriage, possibly give her more confidence. So don't forget that. There's always someone's name just popped into your head. Write it down, reach out to her or him after this event and say, hey, I was just thinking of you. I was on this team training and your name popped in my mind of someone who would be a really great fit for Green Compass. That's just a really encouraging thought, that you even thought of that person and then you actually sent the text out. So I've had people, this is not a recruiting training, but that is definitely something that you want to keep in mind. Number 2, because someone here is in their own stuck story. I know someone here, it may not be my exact story, but maybe you're in your own stuck story right now. And I want you to hear this. Being stuck is a mindset, not a position. You are one idea away implemented from your next success. And number 3, because I'm living proof that mastering these 5 key elements of success can help you to create and accomplish some great things. So 3 things I know about you. 1, you're an entrepreneur. 2, you own a roller coaster. And number 3, you want to enjoy the ride. And when you think about a roller coaster, I do love roller coasters. The older I get, the little less I'm into them. But that dreaded uptick, you're clicking up to get to the top of the roller coaster. That's the most nerve-wracking part for me, because I'm thinking, can I trust this, right? Am I gonna make it to the top? And then it becomes this thrill ride down, right? Like you're zooming around. You have twists, you have turns. So in this business, maybe you gain a team member and then a customer, and then you lose one, right? And we even have upside down moments where maybe there's a promotion or a demotion or a policy change or something happens at corporate. And how we choose, these are the things that I've learned over the years, how we choose to prepare and respond to those ups and downs, because they're coming. They happen to all of us. Determines not only the success of the ride, but the joy that you'll have along the journey. I've been on my own roller coaster for 17 years, and by mastering these 5 key elements, I have found success and joy. And I know what it's like to build a brand. I know what it's like to be part of a new company that has growing pains. I know what it's like to be nervous when you have 0 experience in sales, or you have a fear of talking in front of people, or you just feel like, I'm just figuring this thing out as I go, step by step. I know what that feels like. That's the roller coaster ride you're on. And I'm telling you, if you can learn to master these 5 key elements, you will achieve success. Okay, so we're gonna talk through these five, and honestly, these five could be five completely separate trainings. And so I'm gonna give you a lot of information today. I'm gonna give you some free resources as well, so you can take your notes, but there'll be some free resources for you to apply to this as well afterwards. So we're gonna go through mastering your mindset, energy, and beliefs, your motive, your goal setting, your personal brand, and delegating and outsourcing. We will have time at the end also for Q&A. So the first one is mastering your mindset, energy, and beliefs. Again, this could be just a 60-minute training all on its own. This is, in my mind, the number one, because this is the things that you can control. You can control your mindset, you can control your beliefs, you can control your energy. And here's the deal. We make decisions based on what we believe. If we believe that we can do something, we pursue it. If we don't, then we won't. One of my favorite quotes from a speaker we had years ago is DeWitt Jones. He was a National Geographic photographer. He said, when you believe it, you will see it, not the opposite, not the other way around. So when you believe that you can be successful in your business in 2024, you'll start seeing the ways to be successful in 2024. You'll take the actions needed to make that happen, period, because you believe that it's possible. How do we change our beliefs? Maybe you're coming in and you're in a stuck story. Like, how do you change your beliefs right now? Just decide to. I know that sounds so simple, but start being aware of what you're saying to yourself. What are your thoughts? And decide today that you're no longer going to give the negative ones more airtime than the positive ones. It doesn't mean they're not going to still be there. We have those automatic negative thoughts. They're still going to be there, but you can decide that you're not going to give it more airtime than the positive. You can decide that you're going to strap it in the back seat safely in the car. It can ride with you, but it's not going to drive you. It's kind of like when you're running errands for the moms that are on here that have toddlers and they have a temper tantrum. Like, you buckle them in safely in the car seat in the back. They're not driving the car, right? They're still going to go along with you on the errands because you still have things to do and still things to accomplish. I want you to think about those negative beliefs the same way. They do not have to drive, and they should not be driving your actions. So how do you get started with your beliefs? Number one, affirmations. How are you affirming yourself? It's your job to affirm yourself, not others, not your upline, your sideline, your downline, your husband, your kids. If they do that, it's a great bonus to add on there. But I want you to start forming the habit of affirming yourself. What can you place in your environment, in your office, in your car, in your bathroom? Maybe it's a t-shirt that you wear. I mean, like if I look around my office right now, I have quotes everywhere that are encouraging to me. I like having graphic t-shirts that remind me of the confident woman that I am working to be and want to show up as. So how are you affirming yourself daily? Number two, actions. How are you creating new evidence? Action brings clarity. Clarity brings confidence, and confidence will create more action. But it all starts with taking that first step and taking action. When you do that and it starts building your confidence, it's almost like you're creating a new evidence file for your mind, right? For your brain to believe. Because if you've been kind of in a funk, or you've been kind of in disbelief, or maybe your confidence level is just not there yet, then you have an evidence file that is telling you and confirming what you're saying to yourself. But when you take action and you have clarity around that and you start building confidence, then your brain's like, no, she's got this. She can do this. Let's do more of this. So we need to create new evidence to help us to get to that next step in changing our beliefs. And then lastly, challenge your habits of thought and determine where are the negative ones coming from. Write down, if you just like kept a notebook with you, let's just say for 3 days, and you just took captive, what are the thoughts that you're saying to yourself on the daily basis? I like to use the 3 C's: catch it. So being aware of the thought, that it's there. Check it. Is this serving you? Is this helping me get closer to where I want to go? Is this helping me take the right actions to achieve the goals that I want for this year? If it's not, then change it. These are things that you can control. These are the things that you can master. Your mindset is where your behaviors are born. So again, catch the thought, check it, and change it. Create good habits of thoughts. Challenge them on the daily. It's our mindset is more important than talent, and it will take you further than any skill set you acquire. It's our mindset, not our skill sets, that hold us back. I also believe when we begin to blame, we remove that power from within us, within our own ability to make the necessary changes to have the results that we desire. A great book for you to read, I actually just reread it with my book club, is The Traveler's Gift by Andy Andrews. And he talks about this in his book, like when you start blaming circumstances, blaming, a sale that didn't work out well, or a team member or a customer that said they were going to buy and they didn't like, when we start blaming, we're giving away our power, because we're saying they're the one in the power, instead of you owning it and saying, no, I can do something different today to get a different result. So take ownership. The buck stops with you. You have 100% responsibility for what you're allowing into your mindset and what actions you're taking alongside that. So I want to spend just a few minutes on growth mindset and fixed mindset. There's another whole book called Mindset by Carol Dweck that goes into a lot of detail here, but I really want you to be thinking about right now, because the good news is you can change your mindset. But maybe right now you're in a fixed mindset and you're kind of on that right side. You kind of see those phrases that are describing where you are. Or maybe you're on the growth side. Growth mindset believes that your basic qualities are things you can cultivate through your efforts, through strategies, and help from others. A growth mindset, failure, while it can be painful, you don't allow it to define you if you're in a growth mindset. A growth mindset knows it takes time for potential to blossom. They also are life learners, and they continue to love what they do in spite of difficult times. Those who have the growth mindset and all of the challenges that we've had since 2020, they're the ones who were able to pivot. They were the ones who were able to adjust, because they were learning new things. They didn't see failure as like, closing the doors on the business. Those people actually thrived during that season, and they're still thriving today. A fixed mindset believes your qualities are carved in stone. Like there's nothing that can change about you. It's just, I am who I am, and I can't get any better. Fixed mindset also is effort is only for the people with deficiencies. You have a belief that everything is about the outcome. So in your mind, if you have a fixed mindset, time is wasted if you failed. Time is wasted if you failed. You also, if you have a fixed mindset, allow yourself to let setbacks label you. And we have to be really careful with that, because failure is an event. It's not a characteristic of who you are. In this business, we are constantly figuring out what's working and what's not working. Some things will, some things won't. So what? Next, move on. But when we take it personal, like I'm a failure, that's a thought that you have that's going to not produce the actions that you want to take. It's going to make you probably hide. It's going to make you, sit back and not do anything, because you feel like I'm such a failure. I like to think failure, fail is a fail attempt in learning. Like I'm learning the things that are working and the things that are not. So if you have a fixed mindset, that's going to be really difficult for you, but you can change your mind. The passion for stretching yourself and sticking to it, whatever it is for you in 2024, even and especially when times are tough, is the hallmark of a growth mindset. In the midst, it is the mindset that allows people to thrive during the most challenging times. I talked about that just a few minutes ago. So it's not about who's weak here or who's strong. It's about who are the learners and who are the non-learners. We learn when we take action. Action, again, creates that clarity. Clarity creates the confidence. Confidence creates more action. So no matter what your current abilities are right now, effort is what's going to ignite that ability and turn it into accomplishment. Okay, so let's take some action on managing your energy. This is another one. Again, we could spend a whole hour just on managing your mindset, beliefs, and energy, but this is something you can control. So I want you to think about not just your physical energy, but your mental energy, your spiritual energy, your emotional energy. And 3 questions I want you to ask yourself is, how will you gain it? So what are your superchargers for energy? What gives you energy? What fuels you? Not what fuels your friend or what you see the other mom that, I should be doing that's giving her intake. What really fuels you? And I have found in coaching women for 17 years, that's a question most cannot answer, because we're so used to pouring out. We don't know what we need to pour in with. So spend some time with that question. How are you going to gain the energy you need mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally? And how are you going to maintain that? What is that going to look like in your daily schedule? And number three, how will you not drain it? So who are the people that are draining your energy right now? Maybe it is certain tasks that you're doing, and maybe it's certain people that you are around. So I'd like to suggest for you to devote the first part of your day to be better, like exercise. Maybe it's a devotional time. Maybe it's listening to a podcast, etc. Those are all things that fuel me. That might not be something that's a supercharger for you, but I don't want you to have an all or nothing mentality here. I want you to think of, what can I do, right? Like if you have 10 minutes to meditate, if you have 10 minutes to take a walk, 10 minutes to phone a friend who just fuels your energy, take that 10 minutes and do that. Don't just have that all or nothing mentality. Well, if I don't have an hour to exercise, I'm not gonna do that. Anything or something little is better than nothing at all. I see the all or nothing mentality a lot in just in women in general, but also actually just with humans. Like if we can't go all in, we're just not going to do anything at all. So try not to allow yourself to fall into that. Every distraction like Facebook, phone notifications, text messages, all of those things deplete your mental energy because it requires so much more energy for you to kind of get back focused. So how can you remove some of those distractions to help you to manage your mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional energy? How can you fiercely protect your energy? What fills you up and what depletes you, or who? And here's the thing, sitting with the winners versus the whiners, the conversation is different. Sitting with those who have the solution-oriented mindset, the growth mindset, those people are going to fuel your energy. The ones who have a problem for every solution, they're going to deplete your energy. And so fiercely protect, not just who you're with physically, but also like, who are you following on social media? Who are you interacting with on a daily basis? That will deplete your energy, because the takers, they know no limits. So you got to make sure you know what your limits are. And the work that I do with my one-on-one clients utilizing the ProScan, which is a personality and performance survey, we can actually see what your capacity for energy is. And everyone can be different on a scale of 1 to 7. And so it's just important for you to know, number one, what your strengths are so you can operate in those, because if you're constantly operating outside of your strengths, then that's going to be an energy drainer for you. If you are constantly, operating as someone who has to have, be around a lot of people, but that's not how you naturally operate, you're more of a, introverted personality, then that's good for you to know. It's good for you to know what your capacity for energy is. And so by operating in your strengths and knowing that, you can honor it. And you can also honor and respect the capacity of energy for others on your team, or maybe it's a customer you're working with and you're expecting her to call you right back and she just has a lot of other things on her plate. When you know yours, you can honor yours and protect yours, but you can also honor and respect the capacity of others. So again, what are your superchargers for energy? Not your friends, not your leaders, not your sideline or your upline. What charges you up for energy? And learn to manage your mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional energy. And that's going to look different for all of you. You just have to ask yourself those 3 questions. How am I going to gain it? How am I going to maintain it? And how will I not drain it? Okay, number 2 is motive. So your motive is your motor. What are your motives for growing a successful business? What are your motives? Just like you're managing your energy, what are your motives? And the quality of the answers and results come from the quality of the questions that you're going to ask yourself here. So instead of asking yourself, is this business going to grow in 2024? I want you to ask the question, how will this business grow? How will I grow my business? And what is your motive behind that? And you hear people say like your why, like what's your why? That was a big thing in my direct sales company. I like motive because I like to think of it as the motive. Like if I know what my motive is, then I'm going to get going, right? And most of us answer the what, like this is my what, but very few, if I ask someone like what their why is, they give me that deep resonating answer. And it has to be your answer, because reasons equal results. If you have a real reason, I had a real reason why I joined this industry, because my marriage was not in a good place. I was a bitter woman. I didn't want to be that person anymore. And while I wasn't looking for entrepreneurship, it is the thing that helped me to get connected to other women and helped me to grow, to go from being bitter to being better. So I want to give you an example of what I'm talking about here. So when I was in industry and I was coaching a leader on my team, she had kind of already accomplished, way more than she thought she was going to accomplish in the business. And she was kind of like, I've lost my why, was kind of what she said. And so we talked through it. I coached her through that and, said, okay, come back, at our next call and let's discuss this more. So she reached back out and she said, I know what, I have my new why. I know what it is. I said, great. I said, what is it? And she said, I want to buy my husband braces. And I was like, okay. I said, that's your what? Like, why? Why is that important to you? And she said, well, he is a pastor and he gets up every Sunday and he does a lot of public speaking. And when he was growing up, his parents didn't have a lot of money for dental care. And so I want to be able to provide braces so he can get up there and speak and not be self-conscious about it. And I said, okay, so your what is the braces, but your why is you want to provide confidence for your husband. Do y'all feel the difference in that? Like the deep emotional why that's behind that reason for her to get back out there and to make the phone calls, to connect with people about her business, to share the opportunity. It's very different. A lot of people will say, well, I want to make some extra money. Well, that's just not deep enough. So knowing your motive is going to help you create focus. It's going to help you have more energy and passion. And it kind of acts like a compass to keep you on track. It creates perspective and perseverance when the goals maybe seem a little bit too big or maybe too far away. I can promise you, I never dreamed that I had what it took and still today to build the businesses that I have, but I had my why, right? I had my motive, I had the real reason, the motor that kept me showing up and still to this day keeps me showing up and doing the right things and achieving one goal at a time. So a little side note here, have a decided heart. That's another piece of the Traveler's Gift book by Andy Andrews. I did a whole leader retreat just on that book. It's amazing. But he says, have a decided heart. And so I want you to think about this when you're talking about mastering your motive. Like, don't be a fence sitter. This girl right here that's on this fence, I can guarantee you, if you saw her face, she's probably pretty uncomfortable. It's painful and uncomfortable to straddle a fence. And here's what happens when you're a fence sitter. It steals your joy in the business, and that carries over into every other area. We need to stop spending so much time trying to make the right decision and instead pull the trigger, make the decision, and then get to work making it right. Because sitting on a fence creates a stalling in your business. It creates a lack of focus when you're shooting all over the place. Like, should I keep going? Should I try this and make this work for my business? Should I try this new business tactic? Should I try this gym? Should I? You fill in the blank. We become should heads, and it swings our commitment in the opposite direction of our goals. It keeps us busy. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Keeps you busy, but not in business. We get busy in our office, right? Reorganizing, shuffling papers, hiding behind our computers, on social media, instead of actively engaging the motor and your motive in your business. So I want you to, again, to shift from saying, should I, to how will I? Because your motives can and do change, just like I was sharing with you earlier when I was coaching one of my leaders. So revisit this constantly. If you're feeling like you're just kind of losing your way a little bit and you're not as focused, you're not as energized, you're not as passionate, revisit some of these questions that I'm going to read to you in a few minutes to see if maybe you need to tweak your why, tweak your motive. But decide what your motives are and commit to it. I heard this the other day on a book, listened to a book on audio a good bit, and they said commitment creates freedom. I want you to think about that. When you're no longer trying to figure it out on the decision and you just committed to going in this direction for now, it frees up your mind because you're no longer having to think and decide. The decision is made, you're committed, now let's go. That is the difference, and that's having a decided heart and moving forward. That doesn't mean that if things consistently are not working that you don't make some adjustments, but so many of us, we stay on the fence because either we're afraid to try, or we don't have all the answers or the plan in front of us. Just take action, remember? And that's where the clarity will come in. Without clear motives, it's easy to become confused on which business choices best serve you, and you start looking at everyone else. Simply put, you will make better choices, how you spend your time, your energy, and your resources, and will build a business that makes you feel fulfilled instead of depleted. Knowing the motive is way more important than knowing the how-tos. I could sit here all evening and give you all the how-tos. But if you don't have a real reason, a compelling reason or a compelling motive for why you want this, then it'll last for a short time, but then you're going to kind of be back in the same position. So motivation isn't a feeling you feel, it's a reason. Your reason why, like your reason why. You can be motivated, but not feel motivated simply because you're looking past the task to the result that you want. There are many days that I don't feel motivated to go to the gym, but I'm looking past to what my goal is at the end of the day, or sometimes it's just to the end of the workout. And that helps me to keep moving forward, the reason. So you can definitely be motivated, but not feel motivated. So I want you to dig deep and ask yourself these questions when asked just once. Again, very few people kind of give that deep reason on why they're in this business. It goes deeper than just the money. One of the things my coach said to me years ago was, it's not about the money, it's what the money can do. So if it is about income for you, and that is one of your reasons why, go deep with that. Ask questions, ask more questions of it, get to the heart of it. So here are some examples that I've heard women, men in the industry over the years say. I want my husband to be proud of me, my husband or my wife to be proud of me. I don't believe he has ever truly been proud of who I am. That's a deep reason. Number two, I want to show my parents that I can make something of myself and be successful. Maybe you have some naysayers in your life right now, and you're like, I just want to prove to them. The last one, I want to prove to myself that I can accomplish what I set out to do. Maybe you just need to prove it to yourself. Maybe you just need to stop quitting on yourself and actually see it through. And you want to prove to yourself that you can accomplish what you set out to. So I'm going to give you these 10 questions, but don't feel like you have to sit here and write them all down, because you can just go to martinewilliams.com/5 keys. Someone can put that in the chat for me, and you'll get the free resource, the 10 questions to help you define your motive, along with a couple other things that we're going to talk about in just a few minutes. But I do want to put these out there for you to be thinking about, and then you can print these off and do the work afterwards. But the first one is, why did you decide to join this business? At what point in your business will you truly feel successful? Define what success looks like for you. And sometimes it's a really fun family question to ask too. So sometimes our why or our motive is not just about us, right? It's about what the family can do and how it's going to impact the family. Number three, what will be in place in my business and personal life when I reach this point? Number four, how will I feel when I achieve this vision? Number five, how will my children feel about me as I achieve this vision? Do y'all see how much deeper these questions are? Number six, what will my spouse think of me when I achieve this vision? Number seven, is there anyone in my past who didn't feel that I could build a successful business who I would like to perceive me as successful? Number eight, if I had more than enough income to meet all of my family's immediate needs, what would I do with the additional time and money? Number nine, why am I committed to making my business a success? And the last one, in whose life will I make a difference when I'm successful in my business? I guarantee you go through those 10 questions and you really answer them honestly, you're going to come up with a really compelling, deep motive, and that's going to keep your motor running throughout 2024. Okay, so next is goal setting. So mastering your goal setting, you really want to focus on your activities versus your results. So activities and habits, focusing on those versus the end result. You've heard SMART goals, so I'm not going to go into a lot of detail here, but we know SMART goals stands for specific. So you have to be very specific with your goals. Measurable, how are you going to measure it? Attainable is the A. Relevant has to be yours, right? Relevant to you. And then time-based. We need timelines, we need deadlines. If not, well, if you give me to the end of the year, I'm going to wait until the end of the year to achieve that. So give yourself some shorter deadlines to help you get to that goal. But think about focusing on setting goals based on activity and habits versus the end result. So I want to talk to you about the 3 I's here when it comes to goal setting. The first one is introduce. So how will you hold yourself accountable for growing your network weekly? And what I mean by that is getting in front of people. How are you going to get in front of people every single week? Is that virtually? Is that in person? Is that through email? Is that through social media? How are you going to hold yourself accountable for growing your network? How are you going to introduce people to your business? Number two is invite. How will you hold yourself accountable to presenting your products? Your very best product is your opportunity. I firmly believe that. And then all the other products that you sell are second. But how are you going to hold yourself accountable to inviting people to learn about your business, to learn about your products every single week? And number three, and the third I is invest. How will you hold yourself accountable to teaching and training to reach your end goal? What must you do to raise your level of competence as a leader, as a business owner? You're doing it right now by being on this training, but there will be lots of other opportunities. And even outside of what corporate offers or what Ally offers, it's, again, the buck stops with you. What do you need to do? How are you going to hold yourself accountable to invest? And some of you right now have taken your business as far as you can go on your own, and you're frustrated. And here's what I want you to know. Frustration is just misplaced expectation. You're expecting yourself to create a new result with the same level of thinking that problems were created in. You need to invest and help to level up, period. I had a coach when I first started 2 years into my business. I hired a coach, and I've had a coach ever since. So what does that look like for you as far as investing? The amount of time, energy, and resources you're probably wasting because you're afraid to invest is astronomical. So really think about that third eye. So when you're setting goals, again, I want to challenge you to think about the activities. How can you set yourself up for success, successful milestones that lead to that end goal? Ask yourself each day, what can I do today to get me closer to my goals? For example, if you have a sales goal for the end of the year and all you focus on is how much you need by the end of the year, and if you don't reach it, then you feel defeated, right? It's kind of the same way when you're trying to lose weight and you're just looking at scale weight the whole time. But if you set the goal, I will contact 10 people a day, then at the end of the day, you can celebrate a win regardless of the results, knowing that that activity is the right activity and the right habit. And the more you do that, the more results it will bring. Hopefully that makes sense. So again, think about what are the daily habits and disciplines that you can set up every single day that you can celebrate, because I find most of us do not take time to celebrate. We're too busy looking at areas where we're falling short. And if you're constantly feeling defeated, then it's going to be really hard for you to move forward. That's going to mess up with your mindset. So when motivation is lacking, it will be your daily disciplines and habit that will rule the day. What are your daily business disciplines, habits, and non-negotiables when it comes to your goals and setting daily disciplines? I always like to say discipline made me do it, because there are days I definitely don't feel motivated, but it's the discipline and the habits and the non-negotiables that I have set and put triggers next to, especially if you're trying to create a new habit. I work with a lot of my clients on this because they're like, I'm a grown woman. Why can't I not just pull myself up by my bootstraps and just do this thing? Well, it's a new habit you're trying to form. So give yourself grace in the process, but really planning it out the night before and setting as many triggers or anchoring old, new habits to old habits you're already doing, like brushing your teeth. You don't have to think about that. Most of us, we do that every single day, twice a day. So if you're trying to use a new planner, or you're trying to, set the tone every morning to go work out, put your workout clothes right there by the sink so that you're triggered to, oh, this is what I committed to. I'm going to do that. Or have your list of 10 people you're going to contact. Put that right there first thing on your desk when you come to your desk to trigger. This is what I've committed to. This is the goal and the daily discipline that I have set. Get in the habit of creating those daily disciplines for yourself. Okay, number 4 is master your personal brand. So as an entrepreneur, you are your brand. I wish I'd have learned this so much earlier on in my business. You are your brand, not the products you sell or the company you represent. People do business with people, not a company, unless you're Amazon and you can have the items shipped to someone the same day, right? So over the years, I have had some building my own brand and then creating a new brand also over the last year. And it's all about there's so much more to you, right, than the products that you sell. And you want to attract people to your spaces. It makes business more fun for you too to talk about. If you're talking about you, right? People do business with you. They have to get to know you. So you are your personal brand. And when you think about it, the fun part is like the colors and the fonts and things like that. I don't want you to get wrapped up into that. I just want you to be thinking about, what are the 3 things that you love, that you value, or that you're gifted in, that you could talk about on social, that you could talk about maybe in an email that you send out. If I was to go to your social media platforms right now, would they speak to your brand or would they speak to your company? Would they speak to just Only Green Compass? Does it look like a company commercial or one that represents you and the value you bring, the value you're adding to your customers, your tribe? I like to call them my lifers. Think about that. And if you're just getting started, like I know you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to create my own content. People are just curious about people and they want real. They're not looking for picture perfect. I mean, if you follow me on social media, you'll see sometimes my hair is in a bun, sometimes like it's real. It's just the real me. And people are drawn to that, right? They want to know what's going on in your life. So that same link that I gave you for the 10 questions to help you with your mastering your motive will also give you some questions here to help you create your personal brand. A couple of questions or a few questions I want to read to you tonight are: what are your passions, your experiences, your talents? That top image is a picture of me on a paddleboard. I live on the inlet. People love seeing pictures or me talking about fishing or me going on the paddleboard or me and the dog on the boat. Like people love to experience that with you. So it doesn't have to always be teaching moments. It could just be sharing your life with other people. Another question would be, what lights you up to talk about and share about with others? I'm an encourager. So if you come to my page, you're going to be encouraged every single day. That's just what I do. That's what lights me up, is to know that if someone comes to my space, they're going to feel encouraged when they leave there. How do your customers describe what you do or how you help them is a great question. And ask them, when you see me, like, what do you think of? Because sometimes we're too close to our strengths. We're too close to those things that people find value in. So ask your people in your circle. Be a great discussion for y'all to have after this. What are people attracted to you or do business with you? Why are people attracted to you and why do they do business with you? Because here's the deal. Y'all know Starbucks are on every corner, Dunkin' Donuts are on every corner. Why do people choose to go to certain ones? For some, it's convenience. For some, it's the customer service that they provide. Why are people attracted to you, right? Your personality, different parts of your personality are going to attract certain people and it's going to detract others. And that's okay. You're not for everyone. I'm not for everyone. What are the 3 buckets or categories you could create to help you evolve your brand? So like faith is important to me, my family is important to me, fitness is important to me, entrepreneurship. So those are some of the things that I talk about on my page. What do you want to be known for? And keep it simple. There are groups for everything. You could just Google meetups. There are meetups for knitting, scrapbooking, traveling. Like maybe you just love to travel. Talk about your travels on social. And then you could always throw in, right? You can always connect the dots to your product, to your opportunity. So why is this so important? Because this will allow you to serve rather than always selling your customers. It will allow them to get to know you. It will allow you to attract instead of attack. It will keep you valuable to them because because you're constantly providing value. You want people to come over and see what you're doing, right? You want them to come over and say, I wonder what she's up to today. I wonder what she's talking about today. Not just land in their news feeds or in their inboxes. You want them to come and see what you're up to because people are looking for real connections. They really are. We are more connected today than we've ever been. We're also, y'all would probably attest this, disconnected, right? So be real, be you, and help your people be a part of a community with the same values. You can be that community for them. So again, if you go to there, all these questions I just read out to you will be on there. Take the time to work through that. All right, lastly, we're going to talk about delegating and outsourcing. So you have to learn to master delegating and outsourcing. And again, it doesn't matter whether you're brand new and you're starting, because this is just about delegating and outsourcing business stuff. It could be hiring a house cleaner. It can be hiring, or allowing your kids to help more. And if you're a control freak, then this will be tough for you at first to adopt initially. But I'm telling you, once you do it, you will experience freedom and joy that you've been missing because you've been trying to do it all. You can do it all, but should you do it all, right? You can do it all for a period of time, but then you're going to burn out. Then you're just going to throw in the towel. So the question is, should you be doing it all? Remember the first time I hired, again, the housekeeper, and I, to this day, still have one. I remember hiring my first assistant and thinking, what in the world am I going to have her to do? And I could just do it and get it done faster, right? Those are some of the thoughts and mindsets that I have. But just start small. You don't have to hire a full-time assistant. You don't even have to hire a part-time assistant. You might just be able to ask the little neighborhood girl, a young girl, to come over and watch the kids for you while you make some phone calls. And they can, get a little bit of pay, or you can feed them a meal. I mean, there's lots of things that you can do to help delegate and outsource. So when I say that, I don't want you to be triggered to think, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to spend a bunch of money. It doesn't have to be that way, because teamwork makes the dream work. And you could be hiring or just having people in your home, the little ones in your home, help do laundry, help do the dishes, all of those things. So you might have some free help right there in your home. You just have to have the mindset and be willing to delegate and outsource. Because the fact is, if more money doesn't give you more time, then you don't need more money. Scared money doesn't make money. You have to invest in others and outsource so that you can focus on what only you can do, right? Can someone check your email? Yes. Can someone create graphics for you? Yes. Can someone clean your home? Yes. Can someone grocery shop for you? Yes. There is a cost to doing business. So start small, outsource a little bit at a time. And I want you to think about these truths. If you were to figure out how much you earn per week and the activities that you're doing, would you pay someone else that same rate to do what you're spending your time on? Probably not. So lastly, if more money, again, doesn't give you more time, then you don't need more money. That was a quote my coach said to me years ago, and that has always resonated with me, because if it doesn't give you more time to spend with your kids, if more money doesn't give you more time to focus on the business and not just in the business, because you are a CEO of your business, right? And you have to work on the business, not just in the business. So if more money doesn't give you time to do that, then you don't need more money. If it doesn't give you more time to create date nights, if it doesn't give you more time to do the things that only you are to do in the business, then you don't need more money. So do you own a business, or do you own a very expensive hobby? I want you to think about that. And there's no right or wrong answer there, but your answer to that will determine how you spend your time, how you invest your money, and what the pace of your success is. I always like to say there's so many different paces for success in this industry. You just need to pick one. Pick the pace, and just know it may not be the person to your left or the person to your right, but is it the pace that's right for you? That's all that matters. And then find someone that can pace with you. I always had a pacing partner, someone who had different strengths than mine, but also valued the same things as me and wanted to go at the same pace. It will determine whether you will be willing to master these 5 keys to achieving success, depending on the pace that you're at and what you're looking for in your business, because you can't unlock new doors with old keys. So these 5 keys are really going to help you to set yourself up for success in 2024. So as we wrap up, some actions for you. Number 1, identify. Out of the 5 that we just talked about, which one do you need to spend time mastering this week? Don't try to be the jack of all trades, but a master of none. What's one that you want to really focus on over the next week? Number 2, remember, implement. We don't just want to be hearers of these words. We want to be not just consumers, but doers. So take one action to master it this week. And number 3, share that action with your leader, your upline, your pacing partner, your sideline sister, or anyone else that you connect with for accountability. So you do have that extra layer of accountability in there. Again, there's the link, martinewilliams.com/keys, for you to grab those free resources, the questions to help you master your motive, and the questions to help you master your brand. And then there's also added a bonus in there, like my reboot playlist. So on the days I'm a music girl. So the days I'm feeling kind of down, music always makes me feel better. So if you need a reboot, I give you a reboot, my favorite reboot music. Okay, the second thing is to take action to gain clarity. So how you master these 5 key elements will be best done by operating in your strengths. You heard me talk about the ProScan, the personality and performance survey. Do you know what your true strengths are, how you're naturally wired, and how you want to build a business the way you want to build it? So maybe after now it's time for you to invest in a coach. I invite you to check out my ProScan starter session, which allows you and I to have a private one-on-one session to illuminate how your natural strengths and your work-life environments are impacting your real-time performance right now. I honestly believe I've done all the personality assessments, DISC, Enneagram, all of them. The ProScan is my favorite by far, because it actually gives you so much information that you can actually implement on. How many of us have taken the other ones and it's just sitting in a file cabinet somewhere? We haven't done anything with it. So I have this ProScan starter session. Again, it's a one-on-one session with me. I have an exclusive rate just for y'all for the first 10 who invest. So I'm going to drop the link in the chat after I get done here, but you'll leave the session with so much more clarity and confidence and courage to build the life and the business by design and without losing yourself in the process. Or maybe you're ready to stop playing small and you know it's time to invest in a coach more than just a one session opportunity. So I have a free clarity call. I give everyone the opportunity to hop on a call for an hour and let's just talk through that and just see if that is if my Illuminate You coaching is the next best step for you. So it's really just helping you get clarity. I'll put the links all in the chat in just a second. The last thing is let's just stay connected. If you have a question and you have to run right now, or if you have questions as you process, some of you are going to be processors and you're going to have some questions afterwards, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram. It's me, I promise, not a bot. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. You can find me on LinkedIn. And then this is my podcast that Ali was talking about earlier. It's all about mompreneur life. So I have guests that come on, we talk about their mompreneur journey. Sometimes it's a solo episode where I have just a topic that's near and dear to me that I want to go over. So that is all I have for you. So Ali, I'd love to just open it up for questions, some ahas, some takeaways as we kind of wrap up.
Perfect. And I'm going to keep an eye. We have a lot of people on Facebook, so I'm going to keep an eye on that chat as well.
Okay. And I'll open up the chat here so I can see.
Because they're asking for the links.
Okay.
And I'll post all the links in there as well. Because some people are wanting the ProScan link. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, if you guys have questions, feel free to unmute or pop them in the chat. If you don't want to, I know somebody asked earlier, and let me scroll up really quick. I think they were the book was called The Traveler's Gift. Is that the name of it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, by Andy Andrews.
Okay.
It's life-changing book. It really is so good. It's an easy read too. So if you're like, I'm not a reader, if you listen to the audio, it's the author's voice and he's very theatrical in it, but either way, it's a great book, but it's it's literally the only book I've ever read in my life in a single day. You just couldn't put it down.
Okay, so we have one question. The first question was, what was the first thing you outsourced?
The house cleaning, for sure. Because I remember growing up, and this is not a bad, I'm not saying this is a bad thing, but I just remember growing up and my Saturdays were spent, you know, either I was in the house with my mom dusting or I was outside raking the leaves, you know, in the yard with my brother. And I just knew that was not what I wanted to do. I wanted to outsource that so that number one, that wasn't hanging over my head and I could actually spend time doing the things that I knew would grow my business so I could have that time freedom with my kids. So that was the very, very first thing. Okay. And I have not looked back. The second thing was an assistant.
Somebody in the Facebook chat said, what do you suggest for retired people finding purpose in life?
I think when you look at some of the questions from the branding, that would help you with that too. Like, what are some things that you're passionate about? What are some things that you're naturally gifted in? And if you don't know that, again, the ProScan would really be helpful for that because purpose, you know, the purpose doesn't necessarily change. I think we have so much pressure on ourselves to like figure out this big grandiose purpose, but it really just comes back to, you know, what are those natural gifts and talents that you have and how are you using them in the different purpose vehicles, right? Like, so when my first job, I worked in cardiac rehab. I was an exercise physiologist. I loved helping people. I knew that. And I knew I loved encouraging people. And so when I got into entrepreneurship, I remember like my question in my head was like, how am I going to help people selling bags. Like it just didn't make sense to me. But as I grew into leadership and I realized that, oh, I have the opportunity to help someone else get the things they want, or I get to use my gifts, natural gifts of encouragement and teaching and training. Like those are some of my natural gifts. And so I still do all of those things, whether I was in cardiac rehab, whether I was an entrepreneur in direct selling industry, and now as a coach. So a really great book is called, I know you're probably like quit throwing books at me, but Purpose the Remix by Jade Simmons. She's on social media too. She talks about this, how purpose is not the thing you do, it's what happens in others when you do the thing you do. So you have different purpose vehicles. And so I think, first of all, just take the pressure off yourself to find the big, grandiose purpose. A lot of times our past struggles become our present purposes. Things you have been through that you've been able to go through and get on the other side of. Just like for me, that's why I started coaching and why I developed my own courses, is because I know what it feels like to be that bitter woman. I know what it feels like to lose yourself and lose your identity in the role of a mompreneur. So that's why I'm so passionate about helping mompreneurs, because I've been there and I'm on the other side of it. Not that I'm perfect, but now I want to reach back, right, and help someone else along the way. That was a really long answer, but I hope that helped.
No, I love that. I love that. So another question that kind of goes with the first one is, did you have an assistant while you were doing direct sales, while you were doing your direct sales business? And if so, what did you have them do?
So yes, when my kids were little, when I first started, again, I think I was 2 years in the business when I hired the coach. And then the first thing she said was, you have to get an assistant. And again, I was totally resisted it because number one, I didn't feel like I could afford it. And number two, I'm like, what would I have her do? Like, I don't even feel like I'm there yet, right? I'm not the successful person that deserves an assistant. And so I really just started very, very small. So like back when I started again, this was almost 17 years ago, we had order forms. People actually filled out an order form for the order. And so I had like 10 hours a week. I had someone that she actually was a bookkeeper for my husband and his business. And I would just send the orders to her and she would enter the orders in for me. She would put labels on my catalogs, labels on all of my marketing assets. Even my kids did some of that stuff. So for sure, those are just some preliminary things that didn't take, like someone else could do, right? Like someone else can put a sticker on a magazine. Someone else can't show up and do the events for me. That's what I need to do to build the relationships in my business. So think about those. Maybe just do like a time log of how you're spending your time and be asking yourself, can someone else do this, or do I have to do this?
So I'll just add on to that because I too felt like I didn't need an assistant. But I was spending a lot of time in my business. And I
Yeah.
resisted it for a very, very long time. And I finally did I finally did hire an assistant recently, and it has made a huge difference. And again, it's just doing those things that I easily could do, but giving them to someone else has freed up a lot of time for myself.
Yeah, for sure. And it gives someone else an opportunity to do what they love to do. Like my assistant loved doing admin stuff. She didn't like being on the phone, and our joke was always like she didn't like people. I mean, she really does. She was great, but she enjoyed doing the things like putting stickers on, like that just was something that she really loved doing. So you're also providing an income opportunity for someone else when you're willing to let go and delegate some of this stuff out. Same thing with your kids. You're empowering your kids to know what it's like to support someone else, and it's a team atmosphere. I just put the link in the chat. Sorry, I was having a hard time copying and pasting it, but it's in the chat now. That's for the pro scan. And then I'll put the link in there for the clarity call too. These are great questions. So I'll keep them going. I've got some time. Any ahas? Like what was your favorite thing you heard tonight? I'd love to hear that in the chat or see that in the chat.
Yeah.
The one about your time and money. Yeah. breakdown of the motives. Yeah.
Mhm.
When, again, I could spend a whole hour just talking about mindset. I'm a big, that's just a firm belief I have about our mindset, because a lot of times we try to change our behavior first, and that may work for a little bit, but if you haven't addressed the thought that's producing, so your thoughts produce your results. So if you haven't addressed the thought first, then you're just gonna keep doing the same things and expecting a different result, because you're just gonna try to like grind through it, right? Like get some grit and grit through it, instead of, okay, how can I change my beliefs about this so that I actually want to do the thing, or I'm willing to feel the uncomfortableness because the end goal is in front of me. Thanks, Lindsay. Don't be a fence sitter. Yep. Deidre, I seem to have a hard time pulling the proverbial plug and doing it. Yes. So an example is, if you're, let's just say you're throwing a dart at a target, and you're standing there and you're trying to like line up the dart before, you don't know where you're off until you throw that first dart, right? When you throw the dart, you can see like you're to the left of the bullseye or to the right of the bullseye. But if you never throw it, then you don't know where you're off. You don't know where to make that adjustment. So you have to pull the trigger, you have to throw the dart, you have to just take that first step. And again, remembering that you're going to figure out what's working and what's not working, but action will always bring clarity. We wait for the clarity when really you keep waiting for that, like definitive answer, you're going to still be standing still next year. So just taking your next steps and more clarity will come. Either it worked or it didn't, but you're learning. So remember, I don't think I said this, but you either get the result you want or the lesson you need. If you can hold on to that mindset and that thought and that belief all throughout 2024, I am either getting the result that I want or the lesson that I need. You will not take failure personal. You will just learn from it, and then you'll move forward. Because this business is ever changing. It's changed in the 16, 17 years that I've been in it. It's ever changing. How people buy, how people connect, how people, again, like we used to do, paper order forms. Like, I don't even think that exists anymore. So things are ever changing. Social media is ever changing. So you have to be willing just to take action so that you get more clarity. Henry Ford says, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right, Jules. So think about that. You're right. If you think you can't build your own income, you won't. What can you do? What can you start doing to build that income? Yeah. So what's one action you can take, I don't know if it's Chris or Cassie, to focus on managing your energy and your mindset? Again, a mom of 4 working full time, you may not have big blocks of time to work your business. You may not have big blocks of time to manage your energy and your mindset right now, but what can you do? What can you do? When I started, my kids were young, and I was working for my husband, and I remember just having a makeshift nursery in his office while I was putting in QuickBooks stuff, and the baby was over here, swinging, and then I'm trying to do other stuff for my business. So working in the nooks and crannies of time, for someone who has your schedule, it's going to be really important to get clear on what's the most important thing for you to do every time you have time to work on your business, or what's the most important thing I can do today to manage that energy and that mindset. Any questions on Facebook that you're seeing?
No, I think we got them all there.
Okay.
Yeah. No, everybody's just saying this best call. She said it's best call for her in 3 years. Yeah. Great call.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm so glad. And again, I'm on Instagram, so for those of you, including myself, that are processors and you're just still trying to download everything that came through tonight, you can definitely reach out to me on Instagram, or you can send Allie an email. We talk, and I'm happy to follow up and answer. That font is really small. I love the "you are your brand, not your company, your products." Yes, man, I wish I'd have known that so much earlier. We want to attract, not attack, right? And the way you attract people is they have to know you. They know you, they like and they trust you. They're going to buy from you. Thank you, Deirdre. Thank you, Carrie.
Well, thank you, Martine. That was
Yeah.
really great. The feedback is amazing that we're getting in both chats and the text messages I'm getting. So I'm appreciative of your time, and thank you guys for tuning in. I know how hard it can be to hop on during the week with kids and activities and all that. So thank you again. And again, if you have any questions, reach out to one of us. I'll send you the links. And I hope you guys will connect if you want to hear more. So take care. Everybody have a great night, and I will see you guys again next week.
Thank you, everyone. I really enjoyed it.
Bye, guys.